We used to overcharge our client 700 euros a month simply because we set up our WhatsApp account inefficiently. So I made this video so you can learn from our mistakes without having to pay the price we paid. The first step of making your solutions more efficient is simply to stop relying on AI. Because using AI is the easiest method. You just write a prompt and it spits you an answer that is easy to understand in just like a format that you need. So for your solutions in n8n, you end up using a lot of ChatGPT completion modules or AI agents just to do simple tasks because you don't know how to do them. And we used to make the same mistake because it was easy for me to just prompt the chat completion and then make some tweaks on the prompt so it defines my value in the exact way I wanted. To give you an example, changing the date. I just asked ChatGPT to, hey, can you change this time to Riga, Latvia time zone? And it did it. It was easy, simple, and the result was always there. So this is how my scenarios were looking. Obviously they worked. However, with the scenarios having multiple AI nodes, it added up. So now if one node takes, let's say 1 to 2 seconds to complete, I have 5 nodes and then the whole scenario takes 10 seconds. And it just prolongs the whole process, which could have been done faster if only I used efficient nodes instead of the easy AI modules. So I was running scenarios which took like 10 to 20 seconds to complete, where instead I could have just been running efficient nodes and having the scenario complete under half a second. But the thing isn't about time spent, because if the scenario gets the thing done, it is great. If it happens in the background, let's say you have to analyze some document, you have to input some data into the CRM system. Let's say it takes 10 seconds. It doesn't change that much. The most harmful part of the whole process is that the client has to pay for those AI nodes used because they add up. Let's say you only spend half a cent on the node, but you have multiple nodes and you easily add up to, let's say, 2 cents for the whole execution. So now you're waiting 10 seconds and you're paying 2 cents for the scenario to run. Now, if you look at it, 2 cents for one scenario on the business scale, that's nothing, just as pennies, and they will pay it easily. Yes, but that adds up easily. So you have these one scenario run costs you 2 cents. Okay, but what happens when you have 1,000 scenarios running a day? You're now spending 20 euros per day just on running the scenarios. And when you look at that, 20 euros per day, that's still kind of nothing for a business. However, if you add it up to a month, times it by 30, for some businesses, the 600 euros might be nothing. For some, it might be a deal-breaking point where they don't onboard you, where they don't onboard with you because they don't want to pay the 600 euros on simple usage. And now you might say, okay, let me just focus on the clients who will pay it. They will be less pain in the ass, easier to work with, and they won't be trying to squeeze every penny out of the system. But please take a different look at that as well, because now the company is willing to pay 600 euros for the scenario to run. Okay, that's fine. You don't lose anything. However, imagine you could be pocketing those 600 euros every month simply if you used more efficient scenarios. Okay, so now let's say the client is paying you 600 euros every month. Times it by 12 to round it up for the year, and that's about 7,000 euros just spent elsewhere, where instead you could have been pocketing extra 7,000 euros every year from the client. And that is not a small sum. That's already an extra project onboarded simply if you use efficient nodes. Okay, but talking is easy. For me, sitting here saying, you're using 600 euros just because you use inefficient nodes and you use AI mostly, you're stupid, you're losing money on the table. But let me actually show you how can it be done, what kind of nodes can you be using instead of using the AI nodes. First of all, for you to make your scenarios more efficient, you have to understand one thing, and that is doing all of the stuff in your scenarios can be replaced by using code. Yes, programming code will be tougher, will be more challenging, will be more difficult to create these scenarios. Yes, if you would replace all the scenarios If you would replace all the scenarios with code, obviously that will be more time consuming and inefficient. However, some parts of the scenarios can be exchanged with simple codes, simple scripts of code which do the same task at faster pace and at zero cost, because it doesn't cost to run code on these platforms like n8n or make.com. If you still have doubts that code can replace your whole scenario, let me put it this way. The whole world has been running on code before AI was implemented. We humans reached the moon without using AI. We built trains without using AI. We built space rockets. We built everything that you see here in this world today without using AI, because we used code and different hardwares. So if that doesn't break your limiting belief that code can replace your whole scenario, then you will be just stuck in an endless loop using AI nodes and losing money, losing potential clients, and end up running your whole business into the ground simply because you are too arrogant to understand that code is actually more powerful than AI. With that belief out of the way, you now know that you can use code in your scenarios to replace the AI nodes. But another question pops up. How can I code if I do not know how to code? I do not have a CS. I do not have a computer science degree. I have never coded before, blah, 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 blah. You don't need any of that knowledge. You do not need any of that coding knowledge simply because you have AI now, which has all the resources which can help you based on its knowledge. I myself might not be the best example because I know a bit of code. However, when I'm writing the code nodes, when I'm writing scenarios using code, I do not think of my own how to write it line by line. What syntax do I have to use? No. I myself use ChatGPT or Claude to make these scripts for me and then just copy paste them into the nodes themselves. I might have a bit more understanding of what's happening in the code, but trust me, most of the code, I do not know what really happens there. Why is the syntax like that? I just know that this code works and that's it. Okay, with that out of the way, how can you actually use code in your scenarios? Let me demonstrate. Okay, so let's pick an example to showcase it better for you. For example, let's say you have a client who has his clients in different parts of the world and they book appointments. But for your client, you have to put all the time zones into his time zone, which is, let's say, Riga, Latvia time. The easiest way for you would be have an AI module which simply changes the time zone based on its knowledge. So for you, it would be like, let's say, AI messenger module would be like text prompt, let's say, convert. Let's just give it a random name, 2025, October 12, whatever, 21:30 in LA, USA, time 2, Riga, Latvia, time. Now, with this simple prompt, it will probably output you the correct time zone. Then you can move on to change like the format which you needed to. And that's also simple. You just give it like format it as boom, 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 as that. And the AI module will spit out the result in that exact format. So let's execute it. Okay, from the module, of course we have to choose a module first. Let's just pick the 4.0, execute the step, and here, boom, it did some kind of extra messaging, but you have to ask it to output only the date. Execute the step here, and if format the date exactly. You can add like only output the date and time. So execute it. Here it provided the time correctly. And that's pretty simple. You can make those changes easily. Just talk to the agent and just change the prompt and it will do it. However, as you saw, it was taking some time to generate it and it has some cost. So how can we cut that time down and cut that cost down? you can simply use a different module. So what would you do in this situation if you want to change this to be more efficient? Pretty simple. I do not have to think on my own to search for a node to convert time, let's say date and time. Probably we can use this to convert it, but why should I just now be like testing and running shit? We got the result we desired. However, it was achieved using an AI module, which costs us money and is less efficient. How to make it more efficient? Let's simply go to our good old friend, ChatGPT, and ask, how can I convert time in NA10? Now, we don't need a thinking module. Let's see what it does. We can use like what it says, simple date formatting. If you want to change how the date looks, no, I want to change it from LA, USA time to Riga, Latvia time. Okay, let's see what it does. Use function item node, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's look for a function node. Function. Okay, so we have to run the code node and simply let's paste what it has here, paste it here, and let's simply execute it. Does it work? Some error. How can we fix it? Screenshot it and send it back to ChatGPT. Here, let it generate the actual code probably, or what's the issue. Gonna be moment, time zone, okay. Use the new code it generated. Go back here, copy it, execute. Boom, once again, some kind of error. Stuff happens. Pass it back to ChatGPT, obviously. Okay, blah, blah, blah. This is the reason. No, you can use a different node or use pure JavaScript. Let's try the pure JavaScript since we already have the JavaScript node. Copy it. Sorry, paste it, execute. Boom, we got some kind of result. Okay, let's check it actually. What is the result of it? Here, where's the output of the code? Converted time. Let's ask it, why did it receive this result? Why this result? Have this once again, some kind of issue. Okay, let it think. What else did it show me? You can use some no code, convert time zone, blah, blah, blah. Maybe. Let it fix the code. Okay. Parsed, date. Okay. Build here. Boom, boom. Bunch of code. Let it finish. And let's copy it. Once again, go to this node, paste it. Let's hope it works this time. And it did. And it did work. So we now have a time which is outputted here. You can see in this little screen. Let me zoom in, maybe you can see it, but no, you can't. You go back to Canvas, and here, if you go to the output, you can see this is the time it outputted. Is it the actual time? Let's ask ChatGPT to convert the time it gave. So let's create a new chat. Convert LA, USA time to Riga, Latvia time. Let's see what it does. Blah, blah, blah. It is the 6 p.m. here. Let's go back to the output. See, this is the exact same date it provided. So now you see it works. And with this demonstration, I hope I showed you how you can actually in real life change your AI nodes and what to do when you get errors from the code provided by ChatGPT. Because there's no doubt you will get errors once in a while. I think this was an extremely unique case where it provided like 5 errors. Usually it just takes 1 or 2 or even just no errors, but maybe this was an unlucky day. But in the end, we got the output we wanted. So I hope that showcased you how you can use code nodes. You can write this whole code without knowing what it means, but it provides you the result you need. And the benefit of it is that you won't be paying for AI usage and you won't be waiting those few seconds that it takes for the AI module to convert the time. Now, with it all being explained, I hope this video was useful to you and you won't make the same mistake we did, charging our client extra 700 euros a month simply because we had an inefficient scenario running for the month. So thank you again for watching this video. If you liked it, obviously hit the like button, comment something down below, and make sure to check all my socials below.